Hello and good evening, bronies and Pegasisters. I am Frostcloud on my Mr. Chaos the Cunning Wolf channel. After up to 5 more viewings after my initial viewing of Fake It Till You Make It during my reaction to it last Saturday, I will say, to me, this episode, in terms of its comedy, is great. But in terms of its moral and plot, I don't exactly have very good things to say about it. I'll start off with my positives. The comedy in this episode is spot on. Fluttershy playing all of those store ponies was an absolute riot to watch. And I seriously wonder if that goth pony and Moonlight Raven are related. I wouldn't be surprised if they were. And I especially loved this part near the end of the episode.
You are terminated! Well, thankfully I... You are terminated too! Now I... Actually, you're, like, totally terminated as well! Well, I'm glad that's over.
Just utter comic gold. Sadly, that's where my positives with this episode stop. The first thing that bothers me with this episode is that the setup for the plot in the beginning of this episode to me feels forced and unjustified. And having to put Fluttershy in charge of Rarity for You could have been easily avoided. Firstly, if Rarity needed someone to help keep her store in Manhattan open while she and all of her assistants were at the Canterlot Royal Fashion Show, why couldn't she have asked Coco Pamel to do it? She is much more fit for the job than Fluttershy, but Coco is nowhere to be seen in this episode. She isn't even mentioned or given a reason as to why she couldn't help. And secondly, if absolutely no one could help her, which is debatable, then why couldn't she just swallow hard and close the store for that short period of time? Rarity's fashion business must be financially massive by now in the show given the existence of the primary Carousel Boutique and the Canterlot Carousel. So I'm pretty sure her business can take a small hit. The second thing that bothers me with this episode is that Rarity doesn't seem to realize the difference between a friend getting past his or her personal obstacles, shyness being one of them, and a friend having the proper experience for a job she is tasking them with. This episode to me seems to think that inner strength can just be a substitute for having the right experience, and it just rubs me the wrong way. Inner strength and experience are different things. They do not replace each other. Whenever Fluttershy mentions her inner strength showing through, it just makes me cringe so hard. Not because I don't think she should keep learning to push past her shyness. It's because I feel bad for her. It was Rarity who put her under the impression that all she needed instead of experience was inner strength. I especially cringe at the part where she mentions it again at the end of the episode.
Oh, inner strength.
It makes me feel like nothing has been learned in this episode. The last thing that bothers me with this episode is that Rarity has forgotten something she should have already learned in the Season 7 episode, Honest Apple. While Applejack did learn a good lesson about expressing an opinion in a polite way, Rarity should have also learned that perhaps next time she shouldn't ask a friend to do a job that they are incapable of doing. I understand that Rarity was in a desperate situation, but as I already gave 2 reasons to approximately over 1 minute ago, asking poor Fluttershy to help run Rarity for You could have been very easily avoided. Speaking of Honest Apple, both that episode and this one, Fake It Till You Make It, have something in common, and I don't mean that in a bad way. In both episodes, the wrong characters are asked to help with a job, and as a result, we get great comedy, a conflict, and a moral. Except Honest Apple executed its moral better in my opinion. As I said in the beginning, when I come to this episode from a perspective of looking for comedy, this episode is great. But when I come to this episode from a perspective of looking for a good or decent moral and plot, this episode doesn't sit well with me. If this episode was great at anything other than its comedy, it would be great at making Rarity look greedy, inconsiderate, and just not on the ball in general. Out of 10 paws, I give this episode 5. Remember, everything said in this video is only my opinion. If you loved this episode and thought it was flawless, or if you simply like it, that's okay. I will not think any less of you as a person for it. As always, my name is FrostCloud. Thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful evening. Brohuff.